Welcome to the Home Stagers and Designers on Fire podcast, where we help you attract more ideal clients, up-level your business, make more money, and still have a smokin' hot life. Hosted by best-selling author, coach, and speaker Marianne Cherico, this podcast focuses on business and mindset strategies that enable you to create a life and business by design. Now, let's get fired up.
Today, I am joined by the fabulous Debbe Daley. Debbe is a dear friend and colleague, an award-winning interior designer with over 30 years of experience and a reputation for delivering truly exceptional service to high-end clients across New England and beyond. She's designed and remodeled more than 700 homes, works with both residential and select commercial projects, and brings a deep understanding of what it takes to build a successful design business. Debbe is also the author of Interior Motives, Designing a Career with Passion, and the past president of IDS New England. And she's a sought-after speaker who teaches designers how to turn their passion into a profitable, aligned business. And I am so excited to announce here to all of you that Debbe and I are going to be hosting a live event for interior designers and home stagers at her totally charming renovated oasis in Sandwich, New Hampshire in June. And we're going to be sharing the details here at the end of the podcast. But I want to let you know that I am totally delighted to have Debbe back here as my guest and to introduce you again to Debbe Daley.
Thank you, Marianne. It's a pleasure to be here again.
My gosh, I always love it when you're on my podcast.
Well, it's kind of fun.
It's so
it's just
fun.
Well, it's fun, and it's like we talk about, shop talk, but it just flows, and you do a great podcast. So I'm really excited to be here today and speak to you about
Oh my gosh.
trends.
I think, whenever you and I get together, talk and, plan our events and even just talk girl to girl, we always just get so excited, I think, by each other's energy and,
I
what
know.
we're
And even the
working
message
on.
you left
And
me the other day, I didn't even I had such a busy day and get to my messages. I was in bed and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to call her. And I didn't even look at the time. I haven't even looked at what time it was. So, it's exciting when you can find someone that relates to you and your business and personally as well, because we've shared a lot of that, right?
yeah,
There's been
yeah,
lots of talk, lots of tears, and lots of boat rides.
yeah. And I love your boat rides. I mean, for those of you who don't know Debbe rides that boat like a badass. Like she's the captain, and it's so fun to go out on the boat with her. I know we had a day with Kat Medeiros, and it was just so fun. And our event, speaking of that, we deliver a ton of knowledge, a ton of information for interior designers and stagers in a beautiful, beautiful spot. And we have all kinds of fun things planned, but the bonding between the women is so amazing. And I think that a lot of our events have created lifelong friends and colleagues who can kind of call each other even to ask about certain questions. And so many of these women bring so much to the table. And I think that that's the tribe that we attract, a fun tribe who are, really forward thinking, who want to learn about their business, who are willing to invest, and they're just really great women who up-level each other, and there's no other agenda, and I love that.
Oh, I love that too, Marianne. And it's great when you get people that want to come to the retreat and you haven't met them before. And then they get there. It's like the cocktail party was amazing because everyone just started talking, everyone became fast friends. And then, content the next day was great. And then the question and answer sessions. But even after that, we go out and explore the town a little bit. And it was really fun and interesting. So, this next one, people have heard so much about it that they just want to come. They
Yeah.
want to come. They want
Yep.
to go to the dinner because that was a
Yep.
lot of fun. And, you might get architects, you might get builders that just kind of say, hey, what are you guys doing? We're going to pop in. So it's fun, but you're right. It's the relationships that are made. It's the texting that goes on after the event. It's
Yep.
the messaging with questions, and it's that little tribe that we're building, or
Yeah.
that we've built. That it's bringing the home stages and designers together, so there's not a
Yeah.
separation, and that's what's really nice about it. Because the trends change, right? And people change and the economy changes, and you have to know how to pivot and change with it. And so that's really what our retreats are all about. But it's basically about sharing information in a casual setting, not in a conference room, not, where there's tons of people. Um, when you can sit in the kitchen and have a glass of wine, it's
Yeah.
kind of great, right?
At
It's
8 in the morning. I'm just kidding.
I know. I know. I turned around and was it the cocktail party? I turned around and I looked through the window. We're on the veranda. I looked through the window and I'm looking at the island, and there was like, you know, six people just, of course, because the island in the kitchen always attracts, no matter how big or small your kitchen is, right? People are just drinking wine and having hors d'oeuvres and sharing information. And I actually think with one of the architects that were there, Deb hired them, to work in her house
Yes, that's
specifically.
right.
So there's so much networking going on. And it is with professionals that you might feel like you would be intimidated to approach.
Yep.
And, we're all there for the same thing. We're there to learn, we're there to network, we're there to grow our business. So that's what's really special about it in a very casual setting. And if you feel like you want to
Yeah.
have Reiki session, before the content starts, then we have the Reiki shed, the Reiki room, the Reiki woodshed.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So there's so many things, and it's just a peaceful setting all surrounded by mountains, and it's wonderful. So,
It's absolutely
yeah.
blow your mind, gorgeous. And you'll learn about the evolution of Debbie creating this Clementine house. It's a beautiful story, but it's going to be jam-packed. And I just wanted to mention that, home stagers and designers, there's a lot of blurred lines now because a lot of home stagers that I've coached and you've coached, and we mutually know, like some of them have worked with me and worked with you. I can think of
Mhm.
a couple dynamos like Danelle and Kat.
Yeah.
They are doing like a lot of the ones that started in home staging are doing more design now and they're killing it. And vice versa. Like there's a client that is going to come to this event who's a designer who wants to learn how to do model homes. And model homes are more design. They're staging, but they're
Yeah.
also design. So there's a lot of blurred lines. And what we're going to be talking about will appeal to both because we're going to be talking about design trends for 2026 and how to infuse vintage into design, which is a huge thing right now.
Yeah.
And even the staging presentations that I'm going to make are going to appeal to designers because I'm going to talk about how you can use the design trends in staging. And I'm going to be talking about something that is going to help them with looking at the mindset of their, being the CEO of their business so that they can grow beyond their wildest dreams. So, and you're going to be talking, tell the listeners about the blueprint that you're going to be talking about and what you'll
Oh,
be talking about, because, I'm just trying to make the point that this is advantageous for both stagers and designers. It's not just exclusive to one.
right. Absolutely, Marianne. And I find, and of course, now I don't do staging anymore. However, um, I do follow some pretty prominent stagers, and I see, and also it depends on your demographic area, right? And what the market is, what the target market is for style and design and staging, even a model home. Um, but there's something now, it's all about personality and warmth and living in the space. So in the past, maybe stage, and correct me if I'm wrong, staged homes were, I know I'm going off on the staging part of it. I'll talk about the
No,
blueprint.
it's perfect.
Um,
I love where you're going.
so, staged homes, when I started doing in 2003, where I went back to school and got more redesigned and infused that into my design business and staging, I was adding some color and I did a lot of model homes, but then it all went to the neutral, right? So you could appeal to every possible buyer that went and came through.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then now, right, through, over time, like Donnell, she's infusing color, right? And bright color.
Yes.
And of course, her demographic area would warrant that. But it's very interesting where I see people putting style and want to know about design and want to live with that and bring it into their homes. So I want to get back to that in a minute. But as far as the blueprint goes, my husband and I, we've always been into real estate. We've accumulated a few properties. However, the properties that we love are different, unique, and come with some landlocks, I would say. There's a lot of stumbling blocks there. But it's been approached to me a few times, like, how are you doing that? How are you buying the houses or buying multiple properties? And I decided I was going to create a class on that. And it's beyond the blueprint, right? So as designers, I've been doing this going on more than 40 years, I hate to say. I love what I do. I still take on design projects. They have to be I'm taking on a new build. I just went yesterday on the coast, right on the water. Um, that has to be a project like that where I can be all in. And so I'll take one project like that a year because it will basically take a year to do this project. But the point being is, I love the real estate aspect of it. And as I get older and as I look towards retirement, I don't see myself slowing down in design. So, what is the next phase? For someone who I want to say ADHD has to go all the time. I'll take the boathouse out there in the water and I'll redo it. Or why am I doing that? I don't have to, but I want to feel comfortable in my space. But it's taking a piece of property and how do you accumulate those properties? So in the class, you figure out how not to use your own money. And if you already have your house and if you already have your real estate and maybe it's paid off, what are you doing with it to protect yourself? How can you leverage those properties to acquire another property? And this will be all investment income for you, but you can still play and you can still do what you love to do and design it your own way. But you need to know where you're going to find these properties where real estate was very high. It is coming down now, but how can you take property and infuse style into that property? Maybe you want to flip it. Maybe you want to do an Airbnb or a short-term rental. Maybe you want to do a long-term rental. Maybe you want to have that property and rent it for commercial, for a business office. So, but how are you going to appeal to those possible people who might want to stay there or might want to purchase or might want to rent it from you? So that's what we're doing. And all that income is going to be your retirement income that you can reinvest. So it just grows and grows and grows. So that's where my future is going. When it got slow there, right before Christmas, and I didn't have any jobs in the pipeline, which I was okay with because it gave me more time to market. It gave me more time to work on my class. I decided, I'm still moving around furniture in my own house that I love. And I want to, maybe I could put a new picture or maybe this. It'll never stop. When I retire, it will never stop. But if you do this beyond the blueprint and think about where your future is going, you can still travel. We travel. We love it. We want to do more traveling. But how are we going to do that and, maintain that if we're both not working, which obviously my husband has, that he's a whole different story. My stuff is separate than his. But as far as what am I going to do when I retire? I could ride around, on the ocean on my boat all day long, and that's great. And I want to socialize, which I do, which you saw last summer. So all of these things, I'm putting the building blocks into place for acquiring properties that I can still design and I can still use my vendors. I can still go to High Point. I can still shop. I can still put all these properties together and do what I love to do. But now I'm doing it for me instead of doing it for multiple clients where I might be tired at the end of the day. I don't want to have to worry about filling my pipeline with new clients when I want to build a foundation of properties that I can still design and learning a lot by going to planning board meetings and historic board meetings and surveys and all of this stuff. So that's what the class is all about. And about the stumbling blocks that you fall upon once you buy a property. There's a can of worms that are opened up and all of that stuff. So it's a roadmap for what is next for you. So beyond the blueprint is beyond home staging, beyond designing. So I'm going to be talking about that as well. One of the
And you're
topics.
also going to be talking about something that we're going to touch on today, but you're going to be elaborating on it a lot further. And this is one of your sweet spots. Tell us about the class that you're going to be offering about using vintage.
Yes. So if you follow me on social media, you'll know that I love antiques. I love a good find. I will go to antique shops, consignment shops, Facebook Marketplace, because that's where style and unique pieces come into play. I'm going to be talking about how to put that into a property and not make it look old, not make it look dated by using antiques. And also, how do you appeal to, and Marianne's, you're going to be talking about this, I believe, of, how can you put vintage pieces and antique pieces into a staged home and not make it look dated? And it's I just think that's really cool. And I've done this my whole life. My grandfather was a true picker, gave me my first little table to refinish. I don't know, it was 10 or 12. It just sparked an interest that I think is in my blood. My other grandfather, who came from Greece, finally, bought a farmhouse to bring all his kids back together because he brought 5 by himself over. My dad being 9. But my grandfather they called him a gentleman farmer. So he had antique pieces in this farmhouse. I remember everything about it. I remember the dining table. I remember the Empire style buffet he had. I remember the milk glass with the colorful candy striped glasses, the lemonade set like all those things stuck with me. And so I think that's in my blood. So when I design, even for clients, I will ask them, is there anything that you have that you want to keep and put in this new build house? And the light bulb, goes off. And either are we reupholstering it? Are we not reupholstering? Are we refinishing or not refinishing? Was it your grandmother's and you still want to keep it, but can we spruce it up some way and use it with either incorporating paint color or fabrics or throws and things like that? So I'm going to be talking about how you can use these pieces and found pieces that may not cost a lot. And you can pass the cost on to your client. You can also pass on your markup onto your client and use them in your stagings and use them in your design. And again, people like the unique and different. You'll always have that mid-range person that wants what everyone else has, right? It's like the spec home. And that's one group of people. But then when you get hired, even for stagers, if you're staging a property, someone buys it, they like it, and they're there for years. They're going to remember you, right? And if they're building another house or buying another house, they may want you to help them design it, even as a stager. That's how stagers are getting into design, right? Because they're accumulating these clients that they've worked with. And if they like them, they're going to ask them to design their house. And so then the referral process starts. So you know me, I love a paintbrush. I, will spray paint anything that I can. I do scan Facebook Marketplace. I'm looking for a day bed right now, but I want something vintage looking. And that's why I made that post on my Facebook page yesterday for vendors who are selling on Facebook Marketplace to please put your measurements down of your piece. It will alleviate a lot of messages you don't want, or you will sell faster. And you've got designer pieces on there that I've seen, and well-made pieces that if you don't put the measurements on there, people are just going to scroll. because, I have a list of measurements that I need. So there are many, many avenues for you to make additional income by using vintage, by using antiques and infusing it into your design process. That's where we're
So,
at for trends today.
so talk about how the vintage has become a trend. I mean, you were like a jet setter with this. Or very forward thinking. I mean, you had William Morris wallpaper in your Clementine house, and I said, "Oh my
I,
gosh," before people were even talking about that. But what trends do you see evolving that speak to bringing vintage into the home? And what's a common mistake people make when trying to blend vintage into like a modern design?
so when trying to blend vintage into a modern design, modern could mean many things, right? So modern could mean a clean slate. It could be modern but moody, with dark paint colors. So here's the thing with antiques and vintage. Wood pieces are back. Wood furniture is back. Don't use all of it. Get that one piece and put it into your design, right? So say, for instance, you have a sideboard you want to put into a modern design, and it might be cherry. Okay, but it might have some style to it. How are you going to style that piece of furniture to make it work with your modern design? Is it going to be, slick artwork, contemporary artwork over that piece? Is it going to be accessories that might be a vase of flowers, but a cylinder of flowers? It might be, maybe it's white, maybe it's black. Maybe you want color because color is where it's at right now. Choose your color palette and work with that. But that could be a focal point even in a living room. If you're going to be, I use sideboards anywhere. Chest of drawers, I use them everywhere. It doesn't just have to be in the bedroom or in the dining room. It could be in the foyer. So if you want to make a wow impact in a foyer, get an interesting table. Get an Empire style table, round, put a vase of flowers on it. It might seem more traditional, but it's all going to depend. What color are your flowers and what color are your vase and what color are your walls? So all those things are going to play a part in how you can infuse that vintage piece or that antique piece. You don't want them everywhere, but you want them to create a conversation, if you will, right? So you could use that. Maybe it's in your lamps. Maybe it's your floor lamps. Maybe they're not all traditional, but you might find a piece that is a little bit mid-century. Although, not everything mid-century, because mid-century is gone out. People are still using it, but you might have that mid-century modern, which is a vintage piece, chair, right? You might want to use that
Yeah.
as an accent chair with a small table next to it and a floor lamp. That might be a little bit sleek and fine line, but maybe they're all vintage. So you're creating that vintage vignette that's going to work with either your dark paint color or your light paint color or your light furniture with tons of colorful pillows over it. So again, let's talk about the sofa. So is it a tapestry sofa you're going to put into a modern home? Probably not. But maybe it's a velvet sofa. Maybe it's a fainting couch that has some carving on the frame with a velvet upholstery. That could be a really cool focal point. Make a vignette out of that. Add some pillows. Your pillows may not be as traditional. Your pillows may be more modern in color, in contemporary, not the white and black. Color is in. So
Hmm.
put a menagerie of pillows on that fainting couch. So it's not as though we're designing your grandmother's house. It could be a new build. And quite honestly, just as an example, this new build, these clients I met with yesterday, they've never built a house before. This was their house they had on the water. They were gone for 2 weeks and the pipes froze and they had to knock down the whole thing. Damage, water
Boy.
damage. So they're rebuilding. They haven't had to build a house before. So we met at the site in the snowstorm, went over to their ADU that they're staying in while this house is going to be built. And she had her folder of magazine pictures, which I love when someone has that. Pinterest boards are great, but when you pull out a magazine picture, and everything, she didn't want coastal. They're a blended family. There's 5 children, one still at home, the others, some are married, some are in college. She wants it to feel like home because this is going to be their full-time home. She wanted to feel like home. She didn't necessarily want it all coastal. But in her magazine pictures, she had some William Morris wallpapers that were in some of the deep dark saturated wall color, hunter green, but was like a Venetian plaster. So this is going to be a fun project. And she called me yesterday because when we were going through the initial consultation, her husband's all on board and I'm looking at the plans. And she wasn't too forthcoming with what she liked. She knows she likes what she sees in the picture. So she felt guilty when I said, well, what do you want? Blah, blah, blah. And she called me yesterday morning and I said, oh, she's calling me to tell me, okay, I scared her away. And she said, I want to apologize because I don't know what I want. And I said, but that's okay if you don't know what you want. You did great by having inspiration photos from the magazine pictures. That's all I need. So I made her feel at ease. She said, I just want to let you know I explained to her what the process was when I was there. But so that she wants some vintage antique pieces and some color and some darker color. I saw something yesterday. What was it? There was grass cloth on the ceiling. I was like, oh my gosh,
Ooh, that's so up your
beautiful.
alley.
I know, right? I love grass cloth. But on the
I do too.
ceiling, and it's on the coast. I was like, ooh, that could be something. So it's things like that because grass cloth wallpaper is timeless. And there's
It
so
is
many
so
options out
timeless.
there now. And the texture, right? You're bringing in some texture, you're bringing in some color. If you like metallics, there's metallic grass cloth. So those are the things just, I think you need to open your mind to how can you infuse style and a little bit of tradition with a little bit of modern into a design. It's just, you just need to, Marianne, get in the mindset of how are you going to do that?
So let me ask you this, because vintage is really coming back, are there specific eras or styles from the past that you think are becoming more prominent now? And that's part one to the question. And part two is, can you mix mid-century modern with some more heritagey kinds of things? I mean, what are your thoughts on all of that in a room?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, some of the styles, I'm just going to say, um, rolled arms on sofas and chairs, that English style arm. Those are coming back. That's a little bit more traditional. You see more curves, you see more softness. People want softness, people want comfort. They want to feel like they're in their own sanctuary in their home. I see that style of tradition coming back. It is back. People are doing that. Not just the track arm anymore, not just the modern pieces of a track arm on a chair or a sofa. Um, Curved legs, curves a back. So wood frames, you'll see that coming in. Can you mix them together? Yes. And is it an accent piece, like I mentioned before? Maybe you have a club chair. That's great. Maybe it's a green leather club chair with rolled arms and a English style leg or foot. And that can be an accent piece. So again, you can put that with a mid-century sofa. You can absolutely do that, but don't overdo it. So that's what I see. Um, the curves, the lines, the rounded backs, like you might even have a camelback sofa coming back in. But maybe that's your focal point in a room, say a living room. Maybe it's that piece, and then everything else around it is a little bit more modern. Artwork is huge, obviously, for color, to bring color in. I want to touch upon what was the second part of your question, Marianne?
I think you kind of answered it. Like, can you blend that mid-century style, let's say, with a more traditional style in a room? Like, or do you have to be concerned about that? Is this something that kind of matters. Like, how do you keep that eclectic look but still have that unity? I kind of think
Well,
you answered it, but you might want
okay.
to embellish a little bit.
Well, okay, another example. If we're talking a little bit more modern, and people might think like, okay, shaker style is not modern, right? But
Hmm.
if you have an accent chair that has some curves to it, so the wood frame tall, we'll say not, I want to call it a wingback chair, but they call them the shelter chairs, so they have the
Hmm.
wider sides on them. But that might have a curved wood frame all the way around it, but the legs might be straight. They might be
Hmm.
more of that shaker style. That's blending two styles together.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and then it's all going to depend on the upholstery fabric that you put on that chair. So there are pieces out there like that. So it can go either way. It can go
Hmm.
traditional,
Hmm.
it can go a little bit more modern. So that's one example. If we talk about color, that's back. And I want to touch upon this, and I know it's a pain point for a lot of people, the Pantone color of the year
Let's go
with,
there, Debbie. Let's go
oh my
there.
gosh. So with Cloud Dancer, I almost think it was more of a marketing thing, not for Pantone. I'm just going
Mhm.
to put that out there. I'm going to get a lot of hate mail. I know that, but you have to
Not
have an
not from
open
my
mind.
not from my listeners.
Well, you have to have an open mind. Okay, so Cloud Dancer, right? It's a white, it's a soft white. Okay, why did they choose it? So their reasoning was they wanted it to be calm, it's airy, it's billowy, it's lovely. Now, you know me, I like white, but I also like color. So
Mhm.
I was seeing all over social media all the hate videos from designers, celebrity designers, and, all in our groups. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, we're supposed to be professionals. If our client wants Cloud Dancer or Chantilly lace or whatever that white is as a backdrop for their gallery wall of collected expensive art, we're going to give that to them, right? So I did my blog. I posted the loft that is basically maybe Chantilly lace, like a Cloud Dancer. And how did I
Mhm.
bring color into that to make it warm and cozy and what people would want to stay in? So I posted that because, again, we're supposed to work with our client. I'm not the designer that's going to tell you, no, you can't do white walls. If you want white walls, we're giving white walls. I had another client right before Christmas down towards Boston. She wanted all white and she wanted elegant and she wanted bling. And she had her kitchen already remodeled. It was drop dead gorgeous. So yeah, we can bring in color through artwork that they collected. But that's the point is because trends are trends, right? They're going to come and go. And my thought process was with Pantone's Color of the Year, Cloud Dancer, is it's a clean backdrop. It's a slate to start over. And not that you have to use it on your walls. I think they paired with someone, they did a sofa with it. But it's your job as a stager or as a designer to bring in color if your client wants color, to bring in those pieces of furniture that are going to work with that. Doesn't mean you could do a heavy lacquered ceiling paint color, dramatic, and still have Cloud Dancer or white walls. But what are you going to put on the walls to work with that? You can do heavy drapery if you want to, and a jewel tone color, right? And the
Mhm.
furniture can be color. And then you have artwork. So as a professional, as an interior designer, it's our job to work with what our clients want as well. Not all of them don't have an opinion. We can show them different options for paint color on their walls or wallpaper on their walls. That client, the new coastal client, she wants dark and moody, which was lovely and great, and wallpaper and accent pieces where she can maybe put wallpaper behind a china cabinet. There's different ways to infuse color into white walls. So that's my rant. I'm sorry for going there.
And I love it, Debbie. And I would like to add to that. First of all, cloud white is the Pantone color of the year,
Cloud
something like
Dancer. Yep,
cloud
Cloud
dancer.
Dancer.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that's the Pantone color. And one of the things that that speaks to is it's a more creamy white. We've been going with a very stark white. And the style that that was speaking to was the grays and the whites and serene and kind of sterile. I mean, at least in the
Mm-hmm.
staging world, right? And now we're
Mm-hmm.
going toward adding back in more warmth and even a little bit of maximalism and bringing in a lot of vintage and stuff like that. And that creamy white speaks to all of that in a different way. So it can be used in all the ways that you said. And having said that, Benjamin Moore has a different color of the year. Sherwin-Williams has a different color of the
Right.
year, and they're completely different. And so you don't have to use that color, but you can see why that trend is evolving into a warmer kind of white
Yes.
that
Yes.
speaks to a different kind of aesthetic,
Absolutely.
so I'm kind of loving that creamy white. I have a lot of linen white in my house. I have an older house, and I still love it. It brings in a lot of warmth.
Well, it's like your wall color behind you. That's pretty. It's
That's
warm.
Accessible Beige by Benjamin Moore.
It's
If anyone
pretty.
wants, I mean, by
It's
Sherwin-Williams,
warm.
sorry.
It's
Yeah.
warm, right? Warm. Listen to me, my Boston.
Warm.
Warm.
It's warm.
Um, and I like it. It goes with everything. You're
Yeah.
not going to always have that person that wants out of the box either. And if they want a little bit of color and they're afraid of it, then start with a lighter color. Um, anyway, that was just my going off on the rant about, you know, color of the year and trends.
Yeah, and I'd
Trends,
just
yeah,
like to add one other thing, about the color drenching. I think that is so cool. I love it.
yes,
It's so in right now, but who knows how long that will be in. Whites, off whites, even like the grays now, the beiges, which are much more prominent than the grays now. We
yes,
people are leaning more toward warmth. Um, they're pretty timeless. Whereas the color drenching people might love for even 10 years, let's say, I don't know, 5 years. But
right.
it's very taste specific, and that's okay, especially for design jobs, right? But it doesn't mean that it's something that people won't get sick of after a while.
This is true. And the other thing is when you do get sick of it and you're going to have your painter all the prep work to either change your trim or change your ceiling, and you know what I mean? It's going to be a lot because color
Mhm.
drenching is everywhere. It's a lot of prep work to take it away. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
I do too.
I think it can go modern and it can go very traditional as well.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but some people don't like it all one color. You're going to have that client that won't step out of the box and do something like that, right? They're going to want the
Yeah.
white trim and the white baseboard and the white crown molding instead of having it all one color, which I think is very classic. I do love the all one
Yeah.
color, the color drenching. Yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really it depends on how brave that client is and what their aesthetic is and where they feel comfortable in their space. But for those forward-thinking clients that really wanna
Right.
kinda go there, and that's why they hire a designer, that's why they hire you, they're probably more apt to really go for it. There's no judgment either way.
Right. Right. Our job is to make pretty spaces that our
Exactly.
clients are going to live in, not us.
Yes, we
So,
have to channel what they want and bring
exactly.
out more of that, like, help them to be brave, but it's based on what they really want.
Exactly. And I learned something from Matthew Quinn, right? The kitchen designer, when I saw him speak at the Boston Design Center. 3 words. Take away 3 words during your consultation, your first meeting with the client, right? And then you go with those 3 words. And what's interesting for me, and I've done that ever since. This was, I don't know how many years ago. My client, she was like, we're a blended family.
Mhm.
Um, I want warmth. I want cozy. So warm, cozy, blended family. What does that tell me? Right? We need to do, and they've got adult children and one still at home. So it's not as though, but there will be grandchildren at some point. So it's take those 3 words away from your first appointment with your client, because when you do that, you're golden, you know? You can go anywhere with that. The
But
other
I
thing
think
was not,
also having the intel from her, not to interrupt, but having
yes,
the intel from her visual, from the pictures that she was drawn to, spoke volumes within that frame, because warm could be so many different things. I mean, we know it's not going to be sterile. We know what it's not going to be, but we don't
right,
know what warm means to that person without that visual intel that she gave
correct.
you.
That is
And I think
correct.
that was like what really kind of informs on all levels.
Well, and that's a good point. So I do love the magazine tear outs when you meet with a client, right? They can share their Pinterest boards with you. I do like it physically because you can always revert back to that. She can send them to me as well, but it sets the mood for the conversation there at that point. I
Mhm.
showed her some inspiration of jobs I've done that are deep dark saturated and the coastal side. And at that point, I think I confused her even more, but we still know we know she wants something that's moody, pretty. She's going to get a lot of light in that house. So we can have a lot of fun with that. But it's the listening aspect of it too, you know. You have to listen
Yes.
to what your client wants. And I think that's really key. Listening is key,
Yeah,
and you can show
always.
them what you want and what they want. Um, and you might not get it right the first time, but it really eliminates a lot when they have those visuals right there with them. It gives you a
Yeah.
jumping point, a starting point. Yeah.
Oh my God, Debbie, I could talk to you for 5
I
hours,
know.
but
I know.
we
We do
have to
this all the
wrap.
time. I know.
We'll just have to do another one. We'll do another one.
Okay. All
Um,
right.
but Debbie, let's just tell the listeners a final synopsis of the retreat. It's going to be June 4th through the 7th in
Yes.
Sandwich, New Hampshire. I will have the link on the show notes here. You can always DM Debbie or I. Debbie, give them your Instagram handle.
My Instagram is Debbe Daley, Debbe, no I, underscore Daily, Daley. And you can follow me there. My website is Debbe, no I, DebbeDaleyDesigns.com.
And my Instagram, if anybody wants to DM me, you can again look at the show notes on my webpage for this podcast. But my Instagram is at Homestager Coach Marianne, Marianne. We are getting people signing up for this event. We do have an early bird special. So if you're interested, sign up now. You get a nice discount. There will be limited spaces. There's a lot of interest in this. It's going to be amazing. I can't
Yeah.
even wait. And we're going to be delivering a ton of information. We're going to have hot seat coaching so you can get coached on anything from, design questions, building your design or staging business, to mindset, to anything that you need as a stager and designer. Debbie and I are going to be doing hot seat coaching. Plus, you'll have access to us for those 3 days. We're going to be doing
Right.
fun things. You're going to meet other dynamos in the business, and you're going to learn from them too. And that's
Yeah.
like just the fringe benefits. So, Debbie, I can't thank you enough for being here.
And
I
thank you,
love
Mary
you.
Ann.
And
It's always a pleasure.
oh my gosh, it's so much fun hanging out with you, and I always learn from you.
Oh,
Always.
I learned from you too. I can't wait to do it again. It was such a success last year.
I
So this is
know.
our second annual. So it'll be a lot of fun. We're doing Airbnbs this time for
Mhm.
staying,
Mhm.
just because there's more people coming. And
Mhm.
yeah, I can't wait. It'll be
And
great.
I will tell you guys, the price of admission is worth seeing the house that Debbie has done over, and talk about all the antiques that she's curated, and, the beautiful emerald green chest that she painted, and the big porch that surrounds the Clementine house, and how she's used fabric and blended everything in, and in the fireplace, that's a focal point. And the story of that house, just for that, it's worth the price of
The
admission.
story.
So,
And that's cool, right? So, and we're going to be doing another tour of another historical property we bought in Sandwich as well. So that's part of the retreat. And then we have our architect is going to do a presentation for us in their office, in their historic building on working with designers and stages, working with a architect, and they're going to give us a full walkthrough of one of their projects virtually. So
And
see how
he's
they use
awesome.
technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He's
it's going to be
awesome.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun because that's how we roll.
This episode of the Home Stagers and Designers on Fire podcast has ended. Be sure to subscribe for more strategies on how to attract your ideal clients, uplevel your business, make more money, and still have a smokin' hot life. And don't forget to review this show so that we can continue to bring you top-notch content. See you on the next episode.